It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Baseball Talk, powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Winter workout tour round the corner. Make sure you check out game7baseball.com. Come to the meet and greets. Springfield, Missouri. Friday night, January 10th, the first meet and greet of the season. Check this out, Kevin. This is a pretty cool deal. The folks over at Game 7 Baseball, we're going to be doing the meet and greet inside the clubhouse of the Springfield, AA Springfield Cardinals place at Hammons Field. That'd be fun, right?
Very cool. That's a great facility. I'm down there once or twice a year, and yeah, really cool by the Springfield Cardinals to do that, and that'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Also, home of the Missouri State Bears.
They
share a facility there and have a nice indoor setup, and they obviously have separate clubhouses and office space, but it's all under the same roof. Very great, great baseball facility, stadium.
It is. It's really nice. I'm looking forward to it. The folks from over at Ballparks of America, there it is, Ballparks of America will be there to talk as well. So it's a great meet and greet. If you're in the Springfield, Southwest Missouri area, come on up, talk to the Game 7 guys, see what's going on, because there's tournaments at Ballparks of America. There's tournaments at Ballparks National up there towards Lake of the Ozarks at Max Creek. Columbia, they're going to be over in Columbia this year, St. Louis, a lot of stuff going on. Then we'll be over in Columbia at one of my favorite spots in Columbia, Shakespeare's Pizza. It's good pizza, man. We'll be back at Shakespeare's Pizza West on January, I believe that's 17th, that Friday. Yep. So those start at 6:30. Information will be up on our website later today. Make sure you book it, check it out. Looking forward to seeing everybody on the winter workout tour. Joining me, as always, the guru himself, Mr. Kevin Moulder. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Obviously, an exciting time of year, a lot of family time, and then right after we get through the new year, then you start really thinking about, getting going with baseball. So it's exciting. Fun time of year.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too, because we're leading off our winter workout tour down in the Southwest with two youth baseball clubs that have two really powerhouse high school programs in Willard Tigers Youth Baseball Club and then the Nixa Baseball Club. So we're going down there to check out their youth side in the winter workout tour, see what they're doing to maximize those, those high school programs. I think it's a great opportunity to see.
That'll be fun. Absolutely. A lot of great baseball in that area.
Absolutely. Coach McGee, Coach Hughes opening up, letting us come on down. We're looking forward to that. So that's the thing that I want to start, and also leads off the show here. I saw the press release, got the press release in my inbox from the Missouri State High School Activities Association. We've talked a little bit about this. We knew it was coming up. But from Andrew Kaufman, this was the summary from the December 4th meeting. The Missouri State High School Activities Association held its regularly scheduled board meeting, blah, blah, blah. Yep. During that meeting, the board voted to award Ozark Mountain Sports Complex as host of the Misha Baseball Championships through 2030-31.
Wow. Okay, so a 5-year extension.
Exactly.
I think they had it through the 26th season.
Yes.
And so they extended for 5. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. they've done a great job with it. What I like most about the setup is they've improved every single year. The first year we went down there, like, hey, here's, I had some immediate, oh, this is a red flag, and then they'd fix it. And, they got construction going on down there for a couple turf fields right next to the stadium. Last year we ran into a little scheduling issue with some weather. They have that indoor down the left field line where teams can warm up. And it's not just an indoor. That I'm not even doing it justice, right? It's a full infield with cages off to the side. Like you can get a ton of work done in there. All a team would need to get loose, and then you throw in those fields. Obviously, they have the stadium, and Springfield's a nice area. The only thing you wish maybe that it was in the center of the state, but you're not going to check every single box, and I think that's good for Missouri high school baseball, and the Springfield area has done a great job with it.
Yeah, I think so too. And, just what they said here, we're pleased to announce, that they've done that. This is from the executive director, Dr. Jennifer Ruckstad. The facility has been continually upgrading, which they have, like what you said,
Yes.
Kevin, and to offer an exceptional environment for our student athletes, coaches, fans, celebrate the principal high school baseball or pinnacle of high school baseball. And they look forward to partnering. Randy Merriman, he said collaborating with Springfield Sports Commission has been instrumental in bringing premier events like this to the greater Springfield area, showcasing our community's exceptional facilities and hospitality. We're excited to continue providing an outstanding experience for athletes, coaches, fans in the years to come. And I hope so. I think because I also heard they're like going to build a hotel around there or something close to that. So they're making this quite the event space. And so it'll be interesting to see how this moves forward over the next few years, as we go down there for the state championships.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great restaurants and hotels, within a couple minutes. So it definitely has more than enough to hold this type of event. If I had to get nitpicky, I wish it was 2,000 less seats, and I wish the home run was a little bit more in play. But it's just kind of, what's your style type thing. We've only seen a handful of home runs there over our 4 years of covering that, and but other than that, it is a great spot. And overall, I think this is a smart decision and a great place to be hosting the Missouri State High School Championship.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. And we met the management group there. They worked with us when we were there setting everything up. They were very accommodating, the folks there. And you know what? I should have wrote down their names, huh, Drew? I don't do that. I think about it and then I don't do it. And I'm sorry. And I'll get their names next time we talk
The
about it.
people are great, though. They do a great
Aren't they?
job hosting it. Yeah, it's first class operation.
Yeah.
You can easily understand why they decided to extend for another 5 years.
And like you said, they're working on the place. Randy Merriman, you know who he is. He's a guy that's been around the baseball community in Missouri for a long time. And he understands, what it's about, right?
You really think about like the locations you could even choose. I don't think there's a venue in the Kansas City area. Most of their pro stadiums are on the Kansas City side. You obviously have University of Missouri, which would be an interesting site, but then you have their season, and that's right around regional time, and they don't know whether they'll be practicing, etc. So there's some issues there, and then you have I'm going to call it T.R. Hughes out in St. Charles, or Carshield. In St. Charles, where it was before. Some might say that's a little too small of a field. And you also never know like what their bid was and whatnot. But those are really, the only other choices would be, picking another college.
Go to maybe SEMO.
yes, SEMO, but then you're picking a not as heavily populated area that's pretty far from Kansas City. You could get a Lindenwood or there is a St. Louis U. So there's issues with all of them. So I think they got a good place and they realized that and locked it up.
Hey, there you go. So I saw this. I wanted to bring this to bear. I think it's newsworthy, to everybody. So, hey, like it, don't like it, there it is. We're going to be in Springfield for the foreseeable future, and we'll see you at the state championships.
That's right.
And that leads into what we're going to talk a little bit about today. I'm this guy. I know Kevin, so I'm going to let him poke some holes here and there in some of my theories. And because I want to talk about, as we're going into Jan 1, we're not going to get too far afield into this, but we're finishing up the season. It's our last show of the year. I'm going to talk about the top probably 5, 6, 7, 8, teams in class 6 and 5 and 4. Class 4 is interesting. That's the one that really gets kooky because of the amount of teams and the amount of districts. That's the one that just really is difficult. That's the time-consuming stuff. Class 6, honestly, in my opinion, Kevin, gets pretty straightforward. I think you've got some teams that have lost a lot, but then on paper, when you're just not looking at games, but just looking strictly at talent and depth, I think at the top of this page is Francis Howell. They've just kind of reloaded. They didn't lose many seniors. They lost maybe a handful of guys, if that. Reloaded with pitching depth. Offensively, you're getting your two big-time guys back in Leo Humbert and Jackson Vaughn. You're getting your pitching staff less. I know. I'm forgetting his name now.
The two sophomores, obviously, are going to be a key to that. Dylan Curtis and Jake Brett Schneider.
The one that the senior from last year they lost. Francis Howell.
Well, and then of course you got senior Eli Skidmore, who's going to St. Louis University. So they're in really good hands on the mound, obviously.
Yeah. So I mean,
you're thinking of Alex Bryan.
Yes,
who's now at Maryville University.
Thank you. Sorry, man, my brain. Go ahead.
From a talent standpoint on the mound, they're going to be more than fine. If anything, Alex Bryan was a great high school pitcher. Dylan Curtis, Jake Brett Schneider, as they get older, are going to be big time impact arms. So, they replace. You lose a really good one, but those two other young ones are also really talented and a year older. Skidmore, really talented. Starting quarterback on the football team, a Division I arm in his own right. They're loaded to bear on the mound for sure.
And offensively, you know this as well as I do, Kevin. They were without Humbert. Humbert came in the state championships, but he wasn't there. He hadn't had enough time, got enough swings to really, he might have ran into one. Jackson Vaughn was out, but these two in the middle of that lineup, that really makes an impact, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the top combos in the state right there. And you throw in a Brady Tanner that's, probably going to be setting the table up there. So there's plenty of talent again. And I know, it'll be interesting to see where some of these freshmen and sophomores in that program, where they fall into this equation as well. But I can assure you there's plenty of talent in that pipeline again.
Ain't that always seems to be the case? In the number 2 spot I got here for this Class 6, I think is going to be Nixa. I think Nixa is going to be a very difficult team to beat. Pretty senior heavy. Jackson Gamble going to Missouri Southern, Wyan Vincent Caden Cloud, Brady Retone, Colin Kelly coming up here. Colin Kelly is a fantastic pitcher. We saw him when we were down there live streaming. He's going to be coming up to Maryville University here. This is a loaded squad, Kevin.
Yeah, and they also have a couple sophomores that I'm pretty certain are going to play a big role as well, in Adam McKnight and Cameron Miller. So, it kind of reminds me of when, Wyatt Vincent and Cloud were sophomores creating a big impact. So now they're going to have a couple young guys helping them out. That I like that pick. I would look for Nixon and another one, Rowan Johnson, a sophomore catcher who also pitches. So they got a nice balance there of some really young, talented players, and then some seniors that are super talented. So I like that combo right there.
Yeah, on paper, these are the two, I think, top teams. And I think, honestly, you could put Nixa at number one in that respect. I think you could. I think I think they have the talent to play with Francis Howell in that respect, don't you?
I do. They're you've nailed that part. I haven't fully dove into this
Sure.
at this time. I like to go through the winter workouts to kind of get an updated look on, especially the pitchers, but even the positional players. You'll see a guy gain 10 pounds of muscle over since last spring or whatever. But yes, on paper, that those are a couple of the strong teams, and there's a couple others that I'm guessing you're going to mention here in a moment.
The next one, I put him here just because of talent level, and we'll see. I think the injuries derailed him last year, but I think Vianney is right there talent-wise with the top teams in the state. Can they stay healthy? JD Dorman, I know, didn't get going till late last year, and they just never seemed to get on track.
Yeah, they were kind of derailed by injuries last year. Last year they were a preseason heavy maybe not the favorite, but one of the easy top 10 teams, probably top 5 even, and had a tough year, to be real honest. But wishing them good health this season, and if they get it, there's plenty of talent there with J.D. Dorman leading the charge there on the mound, Trey Jezorowski, Riker Benz. There is plenty of talent there at Vianney again this year.
Jaden Ferguson going to Texas.
Jaden Ferguson, Zach Van Hook, the lefty, sophomore lefty that's committed to Missouri. There's plenty of talent there, and I'm sure they'll have some young guys that'll kind of take a step forward this offseason as well and possibly play a role in the springtime.
Yeah, so I mean, you're looking at a team that I think, again, there's another one on paper. And I think that's the toughest thing. I always look at, as we talk about, I liked what you said about the pitching part of it. The guy that puts on the muscle, the poundage, the weight, the ability to stay healthy through a season, pitching and throwing, because it's just, if you're throwing 40 to 50 innings in a season, that's taxing on a high school body. Yes? Because
100%.
How do you relate that to, say, a major leaguer throwing 180 innings, Kevin?
Yeah, it's a sliding scale from where you are. A freshman in high school should throw a little less than a senior in high school, obviously. So it is a sliding scale. But you'll see some of these top guys in the state get up to 60-something innings, and some of the younger guys, they get 35, 40 innings, 45 max, and that's probably a good number. The other one we missed out on, and who was their top hitter last year, I believe, is Nolan Jaworski. Had a great season and heading to Cincinnati. So yeah, they got a talented group there.
Yeah, that's why I kind of put them there. Maybe it was an aberration last year with the injuries. We'll see what gives. I mean, and it wasn't like when you saw the scores come in, they're losing by 1 run, and it was just kind of like, how come we can't get over this hump? And maybe that'll bring them into this year with a little more, mental toughness and strength, saying, "Hey, we got to get over this hump." So we'll see what happens. This is I'm going back to the Kansas City area here. Lee Summit West. I think Lee Summit West. I was thinking between them and Staley, but I think Lee Summit West has a little bit more talent right now, pitching wise, especially.
Got a little more firepower up top, but Staley's going to be one to be reckoned with. Obviously, Brody Earlbeck back for them, Easton Felipe. But yeah, I like your pick with Lee Summit West. Tyler Wood's going to be one of the top prospects and most heavily scouted players in the state this year in terms of MLB scouting. Good athlete, 6'4" right-hander that can run it up into the mid-90s. He will be an exciting one to have eyes on. And then, there's plenty behind him with Jackson Aiken, one of the top power bats in the state, committed to OU. They have a strong, stout group this year for sure.
And here's the thing: behind Tyler Wood, you got Garrett Anderson going to Drury University, another righty. Jake Riggin, Arkansas State left-handed pitcher. You got a 1-2-3 punch there, right, left, right. That is going to be difficult to deal with, Kevin.
Yeah, as we've talked about before on this show, it takes more than one pitcher. You could have the best pitcher in the state. I'll take the team that has 3 college pitchers, college level type pitchers over the team with just one. Especially with this new format that we're going to play with at the 5 and 6A level, because it's going to take more than one guy to ride through these playoffs now.
Absolutely.
With the best of 3 setup.
And when I started looking at the top 5, that was one of my focuses. Where who's got depth at the pitching because of that right there, and I think that really went into my thinking, because then at number 5, I was kind of tossing up after talking with Coach Eric Goff, because I was always a little concerned about their pitching depth. But we're going to be we got a chance to talk with Coach Goff. But I think DeSmet or Fort Zumwalt West is right there in that mix. DeSmet, I think, maybe a little more pitching. Your thoughts?
I love this DeSmet team this year. Ton of talent. It will be interesting. They got some serious bats in that lineup and athletic defenders. They have a really good sophomore arm that's exciting in Brandon Ott. A lot of it will come see how far he comes, and then obviously getting some seniors that step up. I have also learned to just always assume Zumwalt West is going to be right there. A couple years ago, they lost Deverman and
Tanner Perry.
I was like, man, they're not gonna. They lost all their pitching. They're gonna. And no, they were right back. And they also got
Whistler.
boost. Yeah, and Daniel Whistler. Yeah, so they had a really strong group, and I was like, how are they going to replace these guys? And they ended up being just fine. Not that they wished. I'm sure they wish they would have had those guys still, because those guys are both doing good things in college. But they ended up being just fine. West did get a big time transfer with Brennan Pyle to boost that. That's a boost to any program. So you got Nolan System, who's been starting there for 5 years. So it's quite a strong group again.
Yeah. So I think there's kind of that's kind of my thought process early on. To any other ones that might step up? I know we mentioned Staley, and I think that was one in there. Anybody else that you in the Class 6 that kind of just jumps up at you?
I think you got the top ones for right now. Again, I'd like to comb through this a little better after an off season of checking up on some guys. It will be interesting. Parkway South has some pieces still, so they'll be.
because Lafayette's
CVC
got
is always around. There will be some other teams to add to this list for sure.
Yeah, Lafayette's got the depth. They've got three solid pitchers. They got the two young guys with three young guys returning, two juniors and a senior that pitched last year for them. Lafayette, we'll just have to see offensively what they can do. I think they lost a lot of their offensive firepower, so that's the question mark and why I didn't put them in the top 5. I think they're a top 10 team with that pitching, but not quite. I want to see what offensively they have.
Still have a great leadoff hitter and center fielder in Michael Callahan. But yeah, they certainly lost a lot of those infield and um, Xander Schmidt behind the plate. So we'll find out.
Exactly. So I think there's some interesting question marks still there. Eureka maybe in there. We'll see what Sekman is interesting down there.
Like Sutton.
So Jackson, you can't leave Jackson out sometimes. But again, we'll see what happens. They lost JP Sauer down there. Are they being able to retool that pitching staff? I'm not quite sure yet in those, and that's kind of where those were some of the teams. On the west side, Blue Springs South. They're always the one on the other side of the state there, Kevin. For me, it'll be interesting. Kind of came up out of nowhere a little bit. They got a lot of guys returning. Is Lee Summit?
Yes, yeah. And I've said it multiple times. An off season will provide new guys will emerge. Guys that were kind of fringy or barely known will emerge as we get into April and certainly May. That will take massive jumps forward and become household names.
And that's where the rest of everything gets filled in, right?
That's right.
So that's our early look at Class 6. I think those are the top there. Class 5 is interesting. Right off the skip at number 1, I got Willard. I think Willard is just going to be fine. I think they always retool, and they got a lot of guys coming back.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. You pick the defending state champs. They're always well coached and have a great program. We know that there was a lot of young talent in that program. They seem to always lose guys, but they always replace it too. And they have a nice system there where they replenish from within. And I also like Coach McGee does a good job of involving the younger players in the program. I feel like he always has freshmen and sophomores providing some sort of role. Not necessarily the main guy, but he gets them, whether they're pinch running or a defensive replacement or pinch hitting or maybe, batting ninth and playing a corner outfield or second base. He is building them along. So when he loses those older guys, those guys have seen it, they've done it. There's some confidence to having done it already. So, a great pick for 5A right there.
I think in that district, Branson gave him a little trouble. It'll be interesting. We're going to have Willard and Branson this year in a ball game down in Springfield towards the end of the season. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a district look there. It'll be interesting to see if Springfield Catholic stays in Class 5, Kevin, this year.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the counter argument, I guess, to the system that we had. They had a big run when they had Ben Smith and Coleman Morrison, among others, and then those guys graduate and they don't quite have the same pitching that they had before. Not that they don't have some good pitcher. Ben's younger brother, Jax Smith, is there, and is certainly a good young one. But especially at those small private schools in smaller towns, it can kind of fluctuate a little bit.
Yeah. Just in what we saw from Kearney, what's coming back a little bit that I've been able to drive from that, I got Kearney coming back. We saw them in the Final Four last year. I think they're going to be back in the mix again this year. I got them at number 2. So, and that's just from what I've seen, just a little bit of what I've seen, kids coming back to that program. I don't know a lot yet. I'm hoping to get the coach on the show and talk to him about his program. That's because really that's the best we can do. I'm filtering through. It's so hard in Kansas City to get information. It's crazy.
Yeah. The one team that I really like for the 5A to make a serious charge would be Festus. I don't know where they fell in on your list.
Okay. Since you brought that up, I'm going to, in that district, it's District 1. There's a team down there with the Partney brothers that are on that squad, Hillsboro, that came up just a little bit short of Festus. And I think Hillsboro may have a little bit more than Festus this year.
We'll see. They very well might. I like Hillsboro. Festus has 3 big-time left-handed pitchers. Obviously, you got Mason Shermer, who's the Missouri commit and has already started in 2 Final Four games on the mound. You got Jackson Smith, the 6'5" left-hander, as well. And then you have Cale Schomburg, who's a very projectable left-handed pitcher. So they got some strong stuff there at Festus that I don't know of many even 6A teams that can run out 3 high-end pitchers of that nature like that. So it will be interesting. I don't disagree about Hillsboro, but I think Festus is set to potentially have a big spring.
Because I got them in that 5 spot with battling it out with Hillsboro right there. That's where I was thinking, because I got Webb City in the 3 hole, Kevin.
Okay. They had a great year last year, certainly.
Yeah, and I think they got a lot of those guys coming back. Been talking with Coach Donick a little bit. We're going to get him on the show. We got a game of the week down there with them at their house versus Joplin. I'm looking forward to that in that last week of the season. I think that's going to be fun. I had, and you could say the difference there between, but John Burroughs and or either Lutheran South, these are the kind of those 2 teams right in there I was going back and forth with. Your thoughts on those guys? I think Lutheran South was down just a little bit. We'll see. But that was my thoughts to it.
Yeah. John Burroughs had a great run 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I know they have a number of good young players in the program. It will be interesting to see. MICDS, of course, was made a charge last year.
They're Class 4, though.
They're Class 4, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you think they are. As we know, you don't know until about a week into the season.
That's true. And it's same with John Burroughs or Lutheran South in that respect too, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So that was right in there. I had the Hillsboro, and there's another team in that district, in that area down there that I think could make a splash, played good baseball, and that's Farmington.
Farmington has some really good young players. They have an interesting freshman. We're just releasing our 2028 class on today. And they have a number of guys that are kind of right in that range. But Chase Owens is a name to know in that freshman class. I'm not saying they're ready to make a championship run this year, but there's some good young players in that program. And that will be, we will hear from Farmington in the coming months and years.
That below South County quarter, that Jeffco down into that, I don't know what other the county that is. That's a pretty good hotbed of baseball right now, man.
It is.
My goodness. So that was another team that was kind of right in there. The other one, I had kind of vying for that 4 or 5 spot is Warrenton.
Okay.
I think with Carter Martin and then the guys they got coming back, Austin Haas is in there. I know I'm missing another young man in that. Oh, I had it. Hang on, let me go find it. But I think Warrenton has an opportunity to make a pretty good run, Kevin.
I wouldn't sit here and argue about it. Carter Martin is one of the best sophomore arms in the state, and looking forward to taking another jump forward. He had a great season on varsity last year, even, and with those young guys, they keep getting bigger and stronger, and he'll continue creating more and more of an impact.
The other team that could be flipped in there, and this is, if they stay in Class 5. And this is why I kind of didn't put this team anywhere in the mix because I just don't know if you're going to be able to. I think it's a coin toss at this point, and that's North Point.
We've talked about North Point for probably 3 years now because it's just been fun to watch them, start the school. And, at first it was kind of just freshmen and sophomores. Then last year, they had a handful of seniors that chose to transfer in, but it was really freshman, sophomore, junior. I believe this is the first year where they have a true full 4 classes where a kid had his freshman year there, sophomore, junior, senior. So we've talked about this for a couple of years. We expect this year to kind of be their first year where they're fully up and running. There's some talent there. Jack Cowling leading the charge there, two-way talent. They will definitely be one to reckon with moving forward now that they're playing full strength.
Yeah.
If you will, if I can steal a hockey term, they were playing basically a man down. They were on the they were on the penalty kill, basically.
New coach Justin Schmidt over there. It's going to be interesting, and that's why I just don't know where they're going to be. With what's coming, are they going to be Class 6? I think it's a possibility with their enrollment. We just don't know yet.
And you would have to have a Misha guy on here to break that down because obviously their records and whatnot aren't going to push them up because if it goes back 2 or 3 years, which I believe it does, maybe even 4, those aren't going to those are going to pull them more towards 5, but now their enrollment is probably saying more they're 6. So that one's a real interesting one, and maybe we found a chink in the armor there. Of our rating system as well. So they could be at a 5A level, but really a 6A team in terms of enrollment. And how do you judge a team that, basically didn't exist 2 years ago? They played a varsity schedule, but with it's an interesting situation.
Yeah, and so that's why I really didn't put them in any place that way until I think they've got they definitely can make a run at Class 5. I really do. They have that kind of talent. Jack Cowling at the head of that. They've got some dudes over there. Peyton Bradell. His brother just signed with Lindenwood on a football scholarship. So, there's some talented kids, and I think that team it could be one to deal with, even maybe at Class 6. We'll see. We'll see. They're going to be up in the Central in the GAC, so they're changing that. Timberland's coming down, and I think there's the thing too: is Timberland going to be a Class 5 school?
Timberland could absolutely create an impact at the Class 5 level. Obviously, Richie Swain on the mound, Carson Ramos behind the plate. There's a number of talented players at Timberland, and that will be one to keep an eye on, especially if they're playing at the 5A level.
Yeah, Hayden Post, Isaiah Ogby, I think it is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that kid a lot. He's athletic. plays very well, fast, hits the ball well. I really enjoyed watching him play last year. That's a talented group of kids, and it's a senior-heavy team. Timberland, do they have enough with Richie and some of their pitching on the Class 6 level? I don't know. I think they're good, but at Class 5, definitely, I think wow. Um, it could be very interesting to see what they do. So that's what I've got there with Class 5. I think it's an interesting mix. There's some teams, that could be that we didn't, I think Summit Ladue is one I think that could be in the mix a little bit there, Kevin. Um, Definitely the one I left out that I don't know that much about him is Jeff City.
Well, they have our top-ranked prospect in the state in Jordan Martin. Was an All-American, and he's scoring. I keep up with him a little bit with basketball. He's dropping 40 points a night on the basketball court right now. But 2A talent, shortstop, and he's getting scouted as a right-handed pitcher, of course. But a lot to like there. Eli Miller there, one of the bats. But Bodie Shennework is a young one coming up through there. They're a team that could absolutely put things together. We've seen them make runs before. I believe 3 or 4 years ago they were in the state Final Four. This will be a year for them with Jordan Martin leading the way, where they could beat anybody in the state on a given day for sure. So it'll be more about what else comes behind him. Where do these young guys, how much do they progress? But Jeff City would be a team I would have on my peripherals just to be aware of. I don't necessarily think they're worthy of a top 5 rankings at this moment, but they could absolutely be right in the mix.
Very good. Very good. We'll get you out of here on this. I go to the Class 4. It's the deep dive. This is the difficult one. I've thought about going to Class 3. I don't know if I have enough. I got to get more staff to go to Class 3, man. It's hard when you get into these the lower classes, not because that teams you're not aware. It's just you don't know the players. There's more of them. The districts, it's so many different districts. There's 16 districts in these, and it's very difficult.
It is, and as you get into the smaller schools, you get more 3-sport athletes. So even a guy like me doesn't get to see them as much because they're the starting quarterback or they're the running back in the fall, so they're not doing fall baseball as much, and they don't have time to come to the winter events because they're starting point guard in basketball. And then when spring comes, they're doing baseball. And then, some of them play baseball in the summer and some of them go to football or basketball or whatever their top sport is. So it is a little tougher to dissect the 1, 2, and the 3 level schools.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to just roll off my top 5. I'll let you, and then just let you weigh in. I got it. Number 1, I think they're just reloaded, and that's Blair Oaks. Number 2, Benton. Number 3, I've got MICDS. Number 4, this one might surprise you, is Moberly. Number 5, Summit Christian.
Well, I like that list. Since I'm on 2008's rankings today, I can tell you they will have the number 1 ranked 2028 in the class, and Keelan Zumwalt.
Who's this?
He's a freshman. Summit Christian.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's a left-handed pitcher, hitter, big-time bat, also a lefty with a good feel for things on the mound, 80 up to 85, and was one of the key contributors on our junior future games team that won the championship this summer. We already talked about MIS. I liked him as a 5A school, so I definitely like him as a 4. And we were joking. We'll see where they come out, like what level they'll be competing at. Um, Benton, Chris Coy just committed to Nebraska Omaha. They have he's a good shortstop and pitches for them as well. So yeah, I definitely like your group. Break down the Moberly group for me.
Jackson Angle is the leader of that group. And I saw many of those kids, they played American Legion baseball, finished second behind. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this team. I'm not gonna get into that because I didn't write all the names down. But Jackson Angle, I think he's been on your radar for a little bit. That kid's a stud. I really like him. They made a good run. They won district last year. Just came up a little short. They had a great run in the summer with the Legion team, and most of those kids are the kids that play on the high school team. I got a chance to talk to the coach. He shot me the deal. They got a lot of kids coming back to that squad. We're going to hope to talk to that coach and get a preview of Moberly. I think it's well worth it because I think that's a team that can make a really strong run in Class 4 that we don't normally see, Kevin.
Yeah, that will be an exciting follow. Moberly, of course, is about 25, 30 minutes north of Columbia, kind of there in the center part of the state. So that will be an interesting follow. Where does Helias Catholic slide into things? They're another team that is traditionally fairly strong at either the 4 or the 5A level. That would be another team that's on my radar for the 4 or 5A.
They were in, I believe they were in the 5A stuff.
Yeah.
That.
Brian, it's gotten to the point where I don't even look until that first week of the season to try to figure out where that 3, 4, and 5A line is because it shifts around. We could sit here and talk about the 6As all day long,
right?
Because we know that Staley's a 6A and Howell and CBC and just we know who the 6As are, minus maybe a handful of the really the smallest 6As. So what makes the talk about the 4 and the 5 challenging is you don't know.
That's tough. And here's the thing, we said Jeff City. Well, that district, Kevin, is Union, who had and I think they got some guys coming back.
They should be on the list as well.
Yeah. Borgia, Helias, and Capital City. That's that district, man.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Capital City has one of the best sophomores in the state, and Chase Stieperman, the only sophomore committed to a school. He committed before the new rules. He's going to Missouri. So yeah, that's a really tough district.
So and when I saw that, I'm like, wow, who do you pick? So I went with Jordan Martin.
Yeah. Tough to argue with the logic there.
But the one thing I'm really excited about is our opening salvo for the year of high school baseball. Is we're traveling to Blair Oaks, and they got St. Francis Borgia coming to town. That's our opening game.
That'll be a fun one.
I'm excited for that.
Where's the ball game?
It's at Blair Oaks.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And these are the matchups. I love these matchups. You got, Borgia, of course, Class 5, but Blair Oaks, Class 4. I think Blair Oaks could win Class 5 state championship.
They're a strong team, and it always kind of depends who they got on the mound. Obviously, a couple of years ago, they had Will Lippert, and they could beat any team in the state when he was pitching. Now, they were more like a 4A team when he wasn't pitching, but when he pitched, they were like state championship good 6A. Now, his younger brother Wyatt is there in kind of trending a similar type track. And not that they're a deep team. They got good, but there is a difference between the 4 and the 6A level. But when they have that right guy on the mound, they're dangerous. They could beat anyone in the state, and that's the type of 4A school that Blair Oaks is. Kennett has been that way in the past at times, where if they get like one stud pitcher, they're good enough where they can beat you on that day. But then if you catch them in, their fourth game of the week, then that's kind of where the depth shows up, and some of the bigger, good 6A teams can kind of expose a smaller enrollment school.
Yeah, and just to name off some of the Class 4 schools that I think you could look at, you got Sullivan, of course, with the big arm there.
Drake Gower.
Yeah, Central, Park Hills, they had a good season last year. I think they got some guys coming back. Nevada, who's a perennial powerhouse down in the southwest part of the state, Central, Southwest, something like that. Aurora had a good run. Southern Boone always seems to have a good team. Brian Ash puts a squad together there.
Southern
Logan,
Boone's going to be, yeah, a really strong team. And, Coach Ash's son is now a freshman there. He was a shortstop for our junior future games, and Nolan's going to be a name that we're talking about moving forward, but especially after he has a year under his belt. He's going to be an exciting prospect and also in our top 10 of the 2028 rankings.
oh, wow. There you go. See, there's Orchard Farm over here. Brandon Sugar, Zumwaldi's played at Lindenwood. He's the head coach there now at Orchard Farm. I like the youth, the energy. It's got good pedigree behind him. His dad coached and his brothers all play. I like this. And not to mention, Orchard Farm has good talent down there with the catcher.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, great talent. And I got to go to that school a couple weeks ago, and yeah, great brand new school, beautiful facilities. Um, that'll be another team to keep an eye on for sure.
Exactly. I think I think St. Charles West, they still have a lot of pieces that they've had over the last few years there.
Another kid that feels like a 5-year starter like Nolan System is Brennan Goring. Obviously say that tongue in cheek about both of them, but they've just been on the scene for so long. He's back again.
Yeah. And you got Adam Kalk, who pitched very well for that team, Matt Box. They got their starting second baseman. I think it's Vocal that's back. They still have some guys, and they've got Disselhorst, another Disselhorst there. And if he plays like his older brother, I think, or maybe a cousin, I'm not quite sure, but same last name, might be no relation. I don't know.
Right.
But so they're all, and Coach Allen, I think, is one of the good that he always gets the most out of his players. He does a great job with that program. So, St. Pius X, Kevin, right? It's
100%. We've seen them a part of the equation over the past couple of years.
exactly. I think it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of teams, and as we get closer, I like this Class 4 talk because there are some really, really good baseball teams in the Class 4 division. There just is.
And one thing that's also tough about the 4A or the Class 4 level is one or two players can greatly swing the outcome of the season. And that doesn't happen as much at the 6 level because we're playing 3-game series at the end, but also just the depth can change. And you get one really good two-way player at the Class 4 level that can literally carry someone to a Final Four run. And if there's two of them, then it definitely can. If you get two-way players that are strong, so the 4A can change in a hurry.
There you go. I love talking about this stuff. I'm excited, man. I'm ready for the winter workout tour. I'm ready to get it going. You see these guys. I think it's going to be another good season of baseball in the state of Missouri.
I agree. No, the future is bright. I've mentioned it a couple times already. Just going through this freshman class, it's we're in good hands in the years to come. But we have an exciting senior group, and it'll be fun to follow both of them, the old guys and the young guys.
Kevin, as always, buddy, thanks. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation. To you and your family, enjoy. And we will see you on the other side.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to everyone. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year. And look forward to talking ball with you in 2025.
Absolutely. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it as always. We love your support of Youth Baseball Midwest. If you could, while you're here, please hit the subscribe button, hit the dinger next to it. Doesn't get you a home run, but it does get you notifications for upcoming episodes such as this. Jump into conversation, put your comments, give us your top 5. Is there a team we missed? Let us know. If you're a small school team, 1, 2, 3, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Talk about your club. I love the folks at Oren down there. Want it again? We'll give them a big shout out. I know they watch the show and I appreciate them. We're going to have to get the folks from Oren on the show, Kevin.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah. So thanks again, folks. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, Kevin, give it to them.
Keep throwing strikes.
And you hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.